Now, before we get started, I want to share that in this video, we'll also be doing a giveaway of some exciting prizes and some of the nice events that we are running, and you can take part in that. All you need to do is you need to share your learnings after watching this video on Hashnode. You can check out the links in the description below for the challenges and for the tools that we'll be using in this session. It's going to help you quite a lot. And that's basically about it. We'll be giving away some exciting prizes, and we'll be giving away some personal mentorship sessions by me. And I'm really excited for it. To learn more about it, make sure you watch this video till the end. The world is run by data. There was a t-shirt that I got at KubeCon that says, the 5 key elements: air, water, fire, earth, and data. Could really, it also made me laugh, but I know how true that is in today's modern world. And it's all around us, and we as software engineers, as developers, try to make the most out of it and make our life easier. I remember when I was in my freshman year, I was just starting to learn how to program, and I realized why I got into computer science. It was because I wanted to solve problems, wanted to solve challenges, and in addition to doing that, also make my day-to-day life easier. So I remember I made like a Python bot that automatically played random Friends episode for me. So it was pretty cool. So, you know, as a developer, you might be doing a lot of shopping. For example, I'm just taking one scenario because recently went Cyber Monday. There were so many amazing deals for that. It was Black Friday, Diwali sale for people who are in India, and I travel a lot, so I wanted to look for a mic, for example, that I can just take anywhere with me. So I bought this one. So Holyland something. But the thing was that it was not an easy choice. I had to look at all the reviews. I had to check all the ratings. I had to check the price, the features, some of the keywords, like it has to be, let's say, noise cancelling, for example. So I went to Amazon or some other website and I just started looking at it and started comparing it. It's a little bit time consuming. There are thousands and thousands of products. So I love machine learning, I love data science. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I can just get the data from Amazon and compare it, make some blobs or um, just filter out the ones that I don't need and just make some graphs and just see which are the ones that I really like. Other thing, let me give you another example, can be like travel. I travel a lot. I went to KubeCon, I went to Cube Huddle in Scotland, I went to Birmingham, recently moved to London, went to Florida for the developer conference, and which was Developer Week, and then went to KubeCon, went to Spain. So, been around the world because of conferences, traveling quite a lot. Um, and with that comes another new issue, looking for places to stay. For example, I use booking.com. I use Airbnb as well sometimes. So there was also a challenge, like I need some specifications, like this is what it needs to have, that is what it needs to have. So again, it would be pretty cool to automate this task for me. So as you can see, these are all the problems, like daily challenges. And then there are obviously solutions, like optimizing it as a developer, which we'll talk more about in this video. But one thing is common. The thing that is common is, in order to solve these problems, you need data. The question arises, Kunal, how do we get this data? So talk about, you want to do something with Instagram, you want to do something with, like you're saying, booking.com, Airbnb, Kunal, we travel as well. Or something that everyone does, online shopping. You want to do something with Amazon.com. So I'm going to share with you, let's get started first with how do we collect data. I'll say some of the best practices to collect data. And then we will use that data and we will see how we can manipulate it and get answers with it. So let's get started. So in order to collect data, I use Bright Data. It's pretty cool. The reason being that, yeah, sure, you can use Selenium, you can use all the automations and stuff, Beautiful Soup and all these other things, and, scroll the data and do everything. But that's very time consuming. Another thing being, there are some of the websites that are really hard to scrape. For example, Airbnb. And also, I believe, like on Instagram as well, you scroll, you scrape and you try to do it. They might block your account. Okay, if they see like, okay, Kunal is making too many requests, they're gonna block his account. He's definitely running some automated bot or something like that. Okay, so here you can also check out the case studies, like how various companies are using it, and one more thing I wanted to mention was around like what you can do with it. Okay, so we're talking about web crawler. Okay, we're talking about web crawler. So you can check out how it's beneficial and how it works. And this is what I wanted to show you. Okay, what makes it different and why you should consider using a service like this. So limits request per IP, so it does not get blocked. Your IP does not get blocked. Evaluates a real user, imitates the right devices, and the headers and stuff that you can provide, okay, and all sorts of things. It's also sets intervals between requests. So for example, I don't want you to try this. Like if you go to Instagram, start scraping and like you use Selenium and start liking everyone's post without putting like some delay of seconds, then Instagram will like sort of like ban you or put you in timeout or something like that. Okay. Now that we're talking about data collection, also recommend checking out the about the company and about how they sharing all the best practices for data collection and all sorts of things. So you can check it out as well, right? So you can see all of these legal stuff over here. So make sure you use follow all the methodologies and everything that they are sharing. This is the one more thing I want to show you, which is the use case. So for example, e-commerce, which is the one that we are looking at right now. You can track your competitors' inventory. Finance, travel, this is also something we're talking about, and we'll do some more videos in the future. And data security, market research, for example, sort of like what I'm doing when I was buying my earphones. Healthcare, real estate, and lead generation, ad tech, SEO, social media marketing. So in order to make your life pretty easy, you can use Bright Data. And by the way, if you get started, you can check out the links in the description below. So they have a bunch of options for you. They have, like, for example, if you use proxy services, they have residential proxies. I did some tutorials on this already, so you can use Bright Data for that. I highly recommend checking it out. ISP proxies, data centers, and mobile proxies, and so many other things. Other thing that I want to mention to you is that, Kunal, we are mostly concerned about how to get data. And how is Bright Data better than like writing your own scraper, for example, in terms of like from scratch? Okay, not using a tool like Bright Data. So how is that like not a way that I would recommend, and why you can utilize Bright Data? Here's why. So for example, they also have the first point I'd like to mention is they have some sort of data sets already available for you. Okay, so let's say you want to get some Amazon data sets. So I can just search for it. Okay, for every business. So here you have 1.6 million records, you have the database, they have subsets as well, and so many other things. Okay, there are many categories like business and LinkedIn data and directories and social media like TikTok, Instagram, so on and so forth. So you get the idea for that, you can explore, no worries. And then there's this thing that I want to mention to you, which is known as a web scraper IDE. So web scraper IDE basically is something you can use, like you can basically write your own code and you can scrape any website that you want. So you can see that you can choose a template, you can then customize it, and then you can get the data in real time or in batches. Okay, and then you can choose the file format, like where do we have to send that data. So in this video, I'll show you like most of the possible ways for like if you want to get it via an API, we will do that. Via a webhook, we can do that. Your own code, your template, everything, like from how to get started with Bright Data. It's just trying to give you many options, so that you can work accordingly and see what fits best according to your needs. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to show you the dashboard. This is what the dashboard looks like. Okay, so we have the web data platform and stuff. This is the proxy manager and all sorts of things. The data collection platform. Kunal, this is what we are interested in. Data set, something I already showed you, right? You can collect, you can get the browse the data sets that they have. You can get the custom data and all these other things. Web scraper ID already mentioned. If you want to learn more about it, see if we can get started. And here you can create a collector. Here you go. So here you can choose one of the templates. If you want to check out let's say the collectors page, they have a collectors page as well. So similar thing, we'll be finding the collectors over here. These are some of the ones that I've already made. This is the new collector that we just had opened and stuff. And it also shows you how much you have spent with everything. So you can see there's an Amazon one, there's one for Airbnb, there's one for booking.com, and this one you can see utilized just like 1800 records or something. So Kunal, how do we do this? Okay, so step number one is we're going to design this collector. Step number two is we're going to get the data. I'll show you how to get the data, how to get it like downloaded via an API, or how to get it directly in your application. So in this tutorial, we will be using Python. We'll be using Flask to create our own server, and on that server, we'll be getting our data. And the step number three is going to be cleaning that data and getting information around it. For that, we'll be using some libraries by Python like NumPy, Matplotlib, Pandas, so on and so forth. So let's get started. So, we'll be doing a lot of things. We'll be doing some web dev, some data analysis, and all sorts of things. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, you can leave those in the comment section below. But the tutorials and the documentation is also pretty cool for Bright Data. So you can check out the Bright Data link in the description below as well. Okay, let's start from scratch then. Developer self-managed collector, no problem. And I'm gonna create. Let's say we do Amazon. Okay, so let's say you are someone who sells stuff. That's another use case, and you are selling, let's say, laptops. And like, okay, I'm selling some laptops. How do I compare it with the market? What are the other brands selling the laptops for? So you need that categorical data. For example, when I was looking for my mic, so I was like, okay, what are all the mics in the market in the categories of mobile and accessories? So we need that sort of a thing. So I'm going to use this template. Now an interactive coding environment that they have for us. So I'm going to run you through this. So when you click finish editing, it's going to basically run this code. And once this code is finished executing, okay, once this code has finished, like no errors and nothing, it's basically going to create a collector over here. So here you will be having a collector. Right now it's going to be grayed out because I have not clicked on finished editing. So you can see it's grayed out, right? But once it finishes editing, it will be shown like this, which I'll show you in just a minute. Okay, so here you can see that basically what this is, it is a completely customizable code. Okay, so input dot country. Input basically means things that you are inputting when you're running the collector. So for example, hey collector, I want to search all the categories for let's say laptops. Give me all the laptops. So this laptop keyword is something the user is providing, right? That is stored in this input thing. So input dot country means in my input there should be a country. Yes, there is. Similarly, input dot URL, input dot domain, input dot department, input dot maximum pages. So basically, this is an important keyword because if in your code you want to use something that the user is providing in Bright Data, you will just use input dot that keyword name. Okay, you can add as many as you want. Okay, you can add another input parameter if you want. Okay, and then you have the URL checks and everything. This is pretty like high level, and here you can see that some checks are being made, but this is the beauty of it. You don't have to understand like how everything is working in detail. You just know how it's like an abstraction that they are providing. Okay, so you can just use this ready-made code, and you can just get started with scraping data, right? One more thing I want to show you is you can check out the help section, and here are all the available commands like input and all these other things like country, so many other things, okay, that you can set. Okay, cool. Finding elements and also all sorts of things. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you. Cool. So you can basically run it, you can play around with it, and here you can see it's collecting the results, it's collecting all these things, and then this is the parser code. It's going to parse the data that we get. So you can say here you can pass the HTML results from the interactions that you have done. Okay, if I click on preview, you can also see how it works, and it's going to run it line by line. This blue dot you see, it's running it line by line. Okay, so you can see it opened up HTML. So the web page, it's saying navigate to this URL. Okay, Kunal, I navigated it. Now you search for this thing, the wooden stuff or something like that in this category. Yeah, you're doing it. You can scroll down the page as well. Scroll to. Kunal, what is the scroll to? How do you know what the scroll to is? Just check the help guide. That's it. Here you go. Scroll to. Everything information is given. All the data is given, like in terms of how the syntax is given, right? Cool. And once here you can also see the running log, the output, the input is something we already provided, and that's basically about it. Okay, cool. So this is going to collect the data, and scrolling down, as you can see, it's scrolling to the bottom. Data parsing function, it's going to parse the function, get all the data and everything. Here you can go. Here we have it. Here we have our data. 24 items we got. How cool is that? So what are you getting? We're getting the name, rating, review count, URL, and some number, price, the category, and the parent URL. Okay. So if I go to this URL and all of these tags that it's getting, like the .a price, off screen, customer reviews, you can just inspect element for it. You can just inspect element for it. So if I just go to Chrome, okay, so if I just go to Chrome and we're getting inspect element, so you can just right click, inspect element, and all of these tags you can get, okay, all of these tags. Here you can see data component type and all these other things, class name and all sorts of things you can get. Cool. Okay, so once you click finish editing, you will find yourself in a place where you will find something like this. Very cool stuff, very nice. Okay, similarly you have booking.com. If you want to check out the code for this, you can see advanced action, edit the code. Here we have booking.com. You want to see some of the data from like your check-in time, so you can add your check-in time, the checkout time, number of adults. Okay, you can have age of the children's like 3 and 8, number of rooms. So this is what I mean, and it's going to automatically get that data for you, right? Pretty straightforward. Okay, you can explore that yourself, but let's focus something more on like something new. So let's take this one for example. Okay, and Airbnb one for example, it's very difficult to scrape Airbnb on your own. So that's when Bright Data comes to the rescue and helps you out. Okay, so here let's talk about how we can use this. Okay, Kunal, we created it. We have it right now over here. How do we use it? Okay, so the step number 1 is to trigger this particular collector. To trigger this collector, in simple terms, I want to say, hey collector, get me data of all the laptops. Okay, so you can do it in these 3 ways. You can say initiate by an API, initiate manually. This is pretty self-explanatory, or run on a schedule. Okay, so if you go initiate manually, it's going to ask you like, okay, enter a URL. Let's say if we go to this URL, no problem. Let's say we go to, let's say, laptop, and I can select a department like computers, no problem, laptop. Okay, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it over here. Country, United States, a domain, amazon.com. Maximum pages, let's do 2 for now. Department, I can say computers, no problem at all. Similarly, here's something else. This is the Germany one that it is scraping. So this is basically if you want to compare from various websites or various prices, like different countries or whatever. That's another use case. Because I travel a lot, I'm like, hey, my friend was like, hey, can you buy me an iPhone? You're going to the US. It's cheaper as compared to India. Or can you get me one from London? So I realized that the ones in London are expensive as compared to like Dubai, for example. I was in Dubai as well. So I ended up getting one from I bought some stuff from the US because it's the most cheapest over there. So yeah, there's another use case, like you can compare prices of like country wise as well. And maximum pages 2, that's fine. And you can download an example or whatever, and then you can start it. Okay, and you can start it. So once you start it, it's going to be available over here. It's saying that starting, and it's going to basically run and do all sorts of things. Okay, but no worries, I don't want to do that right now. I just wanted to show it to you. That's the manual one. It's not very cool. Okay, running it manually, and that's not going to work out for us. So what we're going to do is we are going to run it initiate by an API. So we will write some code and we will initiate this via an API. So that's much more nice. And so that's one part, which is how do we tell the Bright Data, like, okay, Bright Data, get me data for this thing from this country and all sorts of things. There was also the proxy one. Okay, so when we did initiate manually, this was also like where you want the proxy setup. So that's why we had the country like, so you can see over here, United States and Germany and stuff like that. That is also something you can set. Now the point number 2 is, how do we get the data? So first thing we're telling it, now how do we get it? So delivery preferences. This is something I have set up already, but let's say you do via email. So on job completion, like you will send, it will get all the data once the job is complete. Split delivery into smaller batches. This basically means that when you're getting a lot of data, let's say 10,000, 20,000, you can split it into small batches. Okay, and you can also specify how much data lines every batch should contain. For now, for demo purpose, I'll do on job completion. Choose the file format, JSON or CSV. If you're working with data science and stuff, you can select CSV. I'll select JSON for now because I can just convert it into CSV. That's pretty easy. And this is the important part. How do you want it to be delivered? You can email it. You can download it via the API. This is also not that cool as compared to just getting the data. So webhook is the cool one. Okay, this is a URL for my application. I will show it to you from scratch how we can do it. So don't worry about it. And That's basically about it. If you do API downloads, then what you can do is, if you do API download, let me just show you that quickly as well. So if you do API download, and let me just show you a previous one, how you can collect the data. So you can go to statistics, and you can download from here, download results. Okay, it has 1800 records or something. So download results. That's when you do API download. What we're going to do is we're going to do webhook. We're going to do webhook. So we will update this later on and use production settings. Yes. What do you want to return? Results and errors in separate files, in this together file, only successful results. Okay, no problem. You can get notification on email and all these other things. For now, I'm demoing it, so I don't want it. File name, data is fine, and update. So I'll update it when I show you the when I write the code for getting a webhook. So we need a webhook. So webhook is like sort of called like a reverse like API sort of a thing. You're not making call to the server. Server is making call to you. So web data server will make a call to your application. Hey Kunal, this is the data you requested. Here you go. Okay. All right. So that is basically about it. That's it. And now we're gonna learn like all the things that we learned, all the things that we discussed. We're gonna implement that. So let's head over to VS Code. Okay. So we need to do two things. What are the two things? First, we need to write some code that will tell Bright Data, hey Bright Data, get me this data, that data, or whatever. Okay. So we have to write that code. And the second one is we need to create a server. Okay, we need to create a server. I can give it a name like main.py or something. What is this server? This is where Bright Data will send you the information. So I don't want to like go every time like on the dashboard and initiate it manually. We want to run it whenever we want it. Okay, using our own application. Let's say you're creating your own application, you're using it behind the scenes, so you need a way to integrate it in the application, right? So that's what we're going to do. So code.py will basically trigger this. Okay, it will basically trigger this. Now, how would my this local thing know that it has to go to this account? Because obviously I have my money and everything added here. So you need to get a token. So you go to settings, you go to account settings, and from here you can create a token, API token. Okay. Okay, so we're going to make a request to Bright Data. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say import requests and import JSON. There are two things we're going to do. Apart from that, we need to pass some headers. We need to pass some headers. So in the request, I will pass some headers. Headers basically mean that in the header, I will be sharing like, okay, Kunal is requesting it. Here's a token. So there's an authorization header that I will pass. And I'll basically say, bearer, your token will be here. Sound good? All right. What is the content type? What is the content type? It's JSON. Application JSON. No problem at all. Okay. Now I need to pass some parameters. We need to pass some parameters. In the parameter, you have to pass a collector. Okay. You have to pass the ID of the collector. I'll just copy that. You can get it from here. If you go to the collector link, here you have the ID, collector ID, C underscore something, right? Here you go, collector ID. You can just copy this, paste it. Okay. Then you have Q next. You can just do for 1, for example, for now. And the next thing we need here is the JSON data. So this is the data that we will be sending. Now, what is the data that we need to give? So I can say JSON data is equal to, what do we need to give? It's going to be in the form of this, and here we're going to have our data. So obviously the URL that it was asking, we'll have to give. What else do we need to give? So I'm trying to run it. So we have the URL that we want to give. We have the country, domain, department, and max pages. Country, domain, department, max pages. That looks good. That's basically what we want to have. Just gonna fill that in. It's gonna look something like this. That's what it's gonna look like. Okay. And this is the URL that we had. So we can just paste this URL here. Let's say 1 page or 2 page. 2 pages fine for now. We can do as many as you want. I'm just showing you for demo purpose. And we don't want to initiate it manually. So that is what we have. And now we just need to make a request. So the response that we will get is going to be request.get, sorry, not a get request. We're sending this data, post request. And here I'm basically going to provide the Bright Data API URL. So whom do you want to send the request? Here's where you send the request. Okay, then you send in the parameters. Then you send in the parameters is equal to parameters. You send in your headers. Headers is equal to the headers, and you send in the JSON data. So JSON is equal to JSON data. That's it. And after this, we will be having our request. So we'll be having the data that we will get. So the data will be equal to JSON response dot content dot. So this content will be in byte form. I will just decode it to UTF-8, and then I'm going to print the data. Actually, I'll just say this is the data, and here also, let's say we want to convert it into JSON. So JSON dot loads this, so object into like JSON into JSON object. So print the data. So this is JSON file. It is going to print for me. All right. So that's step number 1. It's going to run this particular thing, and it's going to start running. It's going to say starting and something like that. So when I run this program, this should trigger. You want to try it? Let's try it. Okay. So in the code, I added my the API token. I can just say Python code.py should return me the data as output. Okay. So it's giving me collection ID, and let's go back here. You can see it triggered it via the code. We triggered it. So we're getting somewhere. So it has now started. Okay, it will take some time. No problem. Take your time. So Kunal, this is going to take its time. I have a few questions now. We don't know how much time it will take. Is it like, okay, it just finished after a while and we are just sitting here watching it, and then we, after it has finished executing, then we run our program again and get the data back? Okay, because we can use this collection ID that we have over here. Okay, we have this collection ID here. It's giving an estimated time as well, but that's not really, it's not like we are supposed to be dependent on that. Like I'll set a timer and then I'll come back. No, I want that when I run this command, when I run my program, in the end, all I need to do now is just sit back and relax, and it will get the data for me as well. Only 50% work is done right now. So here, this is a collection ID. When it's done doing all the data, you can just make another request and get data from the collection ID. But the problem is we don't know when it will be finished. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, how much long it will take. It depends on how much data you have provided. Okay, how many pages it's scrolling or whatever. So what we need is a way for it to listen. Our program will keep running in the background, and it will be like, hey, we are sitting here, my program is sitting running, and whenever you are finished, done with your data, just give me the data. Okay, that is where main.py comes in. So here we are going to write the code that will be like, okay, we are listening for bright data. Whenever you are done, you just give us the answer. Okay, right now it's done because I just did like maximum 2 pages or something like that, 1-2 pages. But in real world, we need like all the as much data as we need, and like thousands of entries and so many other things. So let's do that. When I use Flask, I'm going to create a server. We are going to create a Flask server. So I'm going to say from Flask import Flask request response. Okay, Simple Flask application. These are known as magic methods or dunder variable. App.route, simple hello world program. On the home page, this is a decorator. This is not a Python class, but still I'm telling you all the things that these things are. When we do the Python bootcamp, I'll tell you in detail what decorators are and everything. But basically, this app.route is just modifying this function and adding all the Flask capabilities. Okay. And similarly, if you want to run a Flask application, you run it like this. This also I will tell you in the Python bootcamp when we do it. So if you're running it directly, then run this file, run this particular function here. Okay, that's basically about it. And when I run this, okay, go to terminal. I can create a virtual environment. VENV, ENV, virtual environment. Source, ENV bin activate. What virtual environments basically means that I'm using Flask, for example. So I don't want to install the Flask libraries and all the files in the main repositories. Okay, main parts of my computer. I just want to do it for this folder only. That's why. Now you can see it's changed to ENV. Now what we're going to do is install Flask. No problem. And now what we're going to do? We're going to run the file. It's serving on localhost 5000. Hello world. Very cool stuff. So we have our server running. Okay, no problem. So if you go to Bright Data, Kunal, how do you want to collect it? So we want you, hey Bright Data, I want you to send the data to this something URL. I want you to send the data to a URL. Okay, Kunal, we have our own URL now. We have our server running. We can just send it to this URL. No, you can't. This is localhost. This is localhost. You can't do that. Okay, this is localhost. What I mean by this is, in simple terms, it's only accessible on your computer. Okay, it's not a public URL. So if you give it over here, you'll be like, okay, it's working on my machine. Why is it not working with my Bright Data's machine? The Bright Data has no idea what's running on your local host. Okay, what you can do is you can download ngrok. Ngrok is basically going to tunnel this. So basically, it will you have this thing running on your local system. Ngrok, in simple terms, will give you a public URL. Ngrok will give you a public URL. You can use that public URL and you can give that URL to Bright Data. Very simple. So in reality, it will be running on your local machine only. But that local host, it's going to forward it to a public URL. So Bright Data make request to ngrok's public URL, that will direct the request to your local host. Simple terms. Okay, very simple stuff used for testing purposes. But we need another route that Bright Data can send the data to. Okay, so I can say app dot something like this. You can say app dot root. We can have a slash webhook root. Okay, so method, which method? It's sending us data, post. You can have post method here. Def respond. Let's say we give it any name. Okay, for now let's just print the request dot json and return. What are we going to return? Response. Let's say we return a status code of like everything worked fine, status 200. Very cool. That's how you can get your data. Okay, so let's try to run it now, but before that we will also need to set up ngrok. So here what we're going to do is we're going to first run our server. So server is running. localhost 5000, that's fine. If we go to our URL, which is it webhook? Yeah, /webhook. It won't allow us because it's allowing post only. So get not allowed, only you can send data to this URL. Okay, no problem at all. That is fine. But I can't give this localhost 5000 /webhook to write data. So we will do ngrok. So dot slash, I have downloaded ngrok. HTTP port 5000. So here we have it running. Now we will have a public URL, which is this one. We also have localhost 4040, which is the dashboard. Oh, we have to make a request. Okay, here we go. Visit website. Hello world. How cool is that? Now we have the data, summary, headers, and all these other things. So our local host is actually now running on the web. This is a public URL. Anyone can access this. Even you can access this right now. You will see hello world. You won't see it because I would have closed ngrok, but anyone right now who goes to this URL will see hello world. So now our local host technically is available by public. No problem. /webhook. That's it. Now if I try to, let's say, test the webhook, please don't give error. All right. Department, home appliances, all these things, like a test data we got for Philips head screw bolt. All right. So Bright Data sent us data. Now we have data coming from Bright Data. And that's it. Update. Now if we run this again, now if I go back to code.py, now the response that we will be getting, we will be able to see here. So you can say starting, and now the answer that we will get it on here. Say, see, 200 status code, no problem. We will get this in request. That's it. That's how we're getting the data. How cool is that? All right, you can see getting stuff over here. Let me show you one more thing then. I'm going to show you some, let's say we collect the data. Let me show you another way you can do that. So if we have like, let me show you another way. Let's say we cancel current collection. And let's say we download, not this one. Let's say we go to initiate by API. Let's do this one. Okay. I'm going to close all the other terminals because that's all I wanted to show you. Don't need this. ngrok, I can stop, no problem. I can stop. This is all working fine, so that's good. What I want to show you now is, let's say I go to this one. Let's say computers, laptops, no problem. By the way, you can also input this in, right? You can also, you don't even have to go to amazon.com to get the URL. You can just use formatting. Let me show you how. Okay, so if you go somewhere over here, you can just like do something like this. Product is equal to laptop, or you can take an input, Okay, so without adding it in, you can add f string over here. And here you can add product. Like that. So you don't even have to, go to amazon.com. I was just showing it to make life easy for you. Pages is equal to 3. There you go. Completely dynamic now. Cool stuff. So you can have it like input something like this. print input your data, and when you run this, it's going to ask you for input. When you do, like, you can also do input enter product or something. Okay, cool, no worries. Okay, so we copy this URL, we post it here. Just for simplicity, I'll just show you what I mean. Say we do pages 2, computers. Okay, and I can open up my terminal. Okay, so just for demo purpose, like I'm showing you. So if we go over here, we check out the delivery preferences. I change it to API download because I just want to show you, like, okay, Kunal, we learned how you can use your own program to initiate it via the Python program or whatever, how to collect the data, like we got that as well while it was processing. But now that we have the data, how do we save it in a file and do all sorts of things when you have that request? So we can just run it like this. So if there's another method that you can do, I'll just copy this, and let's say just for demo purpose, I'll show you one. Computers, let's just do 2, let's just do 1. Just for demo purpose, I want to show you, and I'll just copy this, and I'll just replace my API token. So here I need to replace the API token, and it's going to run it here. Okay, when I run this command, it's going to initiate it, and then we're going to be able to collect it. Okay, so I had my API token in. You can't use it because I'll reset it, obviously. But after I've triggered it, you can see that it gave me a collection ID, and it says that it has started. And if we go over here, in the data collection collector, should have been started. See, it's starting. Here we go. Right? Very cool stuff. Cool. Now I can basically copy this, and I'm going to clean it so that you can see it clearly. And I'm going to try to get the data, but it'll be like, hey Kunal, we are not finished processing yet. Please have some patience. Job is not finished. Run this again. Job is not finished. That's fine. It's currently starting. No problem. So you can see you can run as many as you want. So I got like 1800 records or something. Okay, so I can initiate this one as well. And here you can see it's now collecting it. It's collecting 1 of 5. All sorts of things you can check out. All right, so that's going to take some time. And you can collect like large amount of data as well. So if I run this one, let's say manually, and you can check out, you can add in your own hotel reservation like database in the database, number of rooms and stuff you want. You click on start. Okay, so the booking.com example, as you can see, it's scraping like quite a lot of data. It's been like around 30 minutes now. Okay, it says idle now, finished processing. It's saying that it's not ready. Try again in like a few seconds. Okay, no problem. I'll try in a few seconds. Let's try again. Here you go. Got the JSON data. All the information for every single like laptop and stuff. Lenovo IdeaPad. How cool is that? That's how we're using Bright Data to get data. And that's the same thing that was happening in our Python program as well. So I can save it in a file as well. Laptops data.json. That's it. Now we can open it file. Right here you can see we have laptop data.json. All right, cool. So that was it. We basically checked out everything, and enough for you to get started. Now the last point I want to mention is how you can use some more Python like libraries. We can check it out, and we can learn how we can clean this data and get more information from it. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're almost there. Now the last part, which is a little bit of an introduction to like how we can use pandas. So pip install pandas, that's fine. Import, and then I have my laptop.csv file over here that I got from Bright Data, and here we're going to basically try to get the data. So here you can see this is our laptop's data. Okay, here we have it. The name, the rating, review count, URL, price, category that it lies in. See? Okay, parent URL, input domain, the country is given, everything is here. Okay, you can check out all the functions that read CSV, all the methods that it, like all the parameters it takes. You want to check out what all columns are there, so you can check that out. All the data types for those columns, you can check those out. So name, rating, review count, name is type object, review count type float, and input max number pages type integer. Okay, and here you can select columns as well. So if we talk about columns, we just saw that, but we can take a column like of this data frame. I want to take let's say the price only. Okay, so here you go. These are all the data we have with the price. Sound good, right? So that's basically what we have here. There's some extra code. You can select multiple columns. You can select, let's say I am only interested in price. I am also interested in the rating. And I don't think I'm interested in anything else. Here we go. We have it according to price and rating. Now I can use something like matplotlib, and you can plot these together and some algorithms on it. Do whatever you want, and yeah, cool. Okay, so you can do all sorts of things. So for example, here you can see that the price is like it's an object, so you can first of all apply it and convert it into like a float or something. And let's say we are only concerned about the price and the rating. So rating is also like not really in a number form, so you can convert this into a float as well. So you can convert the price and rating into a float, and then you can take like, okay, if the price is low and if the price is high, the rating will also be high. If the price is low, sometimes it will be like, okay, if the cheaper products might not be that great, so rating will also be low. So you can plot this in a graph, and you can be like, okay, let's try to find a balance between the price and the rating. So which has like a decent amount of price for what it's giving the rating for us. Okay, so that's sort of like a little homework for you. You can try it out. If you're able to do it, you can share it on social media, and I'll give you some exciting prizes. Okay, tag me, tag Bright Data. If you're able to do it, let me know. Share it in the We Make Devs channel, or I just recommend sharing it on social media, tagging me so I can see it. And it's very simple stuff, so you can do it. I know you can do it. Let me give you a hint on how you can do it. Okay, so if on a particular column you want to apply a function, so you can just create a lambda function like convert to integer and do something with x. This is something you have to figure out, and then you apply it on the rating and the price as well, and then you display it, and then you use matplotlib. You can check out matplotlib, and you just print it accordingly, and then you can filter out accordingly all the ratings and everything. So yeah, print it in like some dots, and you can also use scikit-learn. That's another thing that will make your life easy, that I gave you a little bit of a hint. But yeah, that was pretty much about it. Really an awesome tool, and I highly encourage you all to check it out. What I recommend you do is sign up, and if once you've signed up, I want you to share a screenshot, on socials. Tag Bright Data. You can tag me. You can find their handle on Twitter, as you can see over here, Twitter, Bright_Data, and tag We Make Devs, and just share what you learned. If you made a project, make sure you share about it and what all things you like. I want to see how excited you are to try it out for your projects, because this is a tech channel, so we do a lot of scraping related tutorials and projects. So in the future we'll be utilizing it quite a lot, so I want you all to get familiar with it right now. And to get started, you can check out the links in the description. You can follow this tutorial and try to scrape various websites and get the data for your learning like purposes and things like that. Yeah, You can share it on socials, and you can take part in the Learning Public initiative. So you can go to github.com/vmakedevs/events. Oops. No, not vmakedevs/vmakedevs/events. Here we go. So you can go here, you can go to Hashnode, and here we have the Hashnode challenges. So here you can basically win a Keychron keyboard. We're doing it in collaboration with EdiHub, and you can share about in the networking section. Here you can write about the how Bright Data basically can help you scrape data. Okay, so you can get started with that, and if you share your blog, we'll reach out to for some prizes and some swag to some of the lucky winners. So yeah, you can take part in this initiative, and you can share it on socials. And if you have any questions, you can leave that in the description below. And yeah, see you in the next one. Have a great day.